broadcast journalist with Diamond FM, where I work as the head of programs and head of content. Today I'm here to talk about radio, storytelling. Storytelling for impactful investigative stories, using a case study of a project I embarked upon last year. We heard a lot about the gold mafia yesterday, but it's a you realize that there are microcosms of these situations everywhere. I come from a state called Osun. That particular part of the country is called Ijesha land. Every year, about $9 billion gets lost to illegal alluvial mining in the state. How do you tell a story that's been told several times? Well, my time's begun already. Well, I have on the board, not the board, I have on the screen, come on, you can do this. I have on the screen two documentaries. These are two documentaries, simply posters, gold rushes and land grabs, saving the Osun River. They're others. It's more like a series of different angles to a particular story. If I asked anyone in this room, how many of you have heard about Osun? Well, you probably have, without knowing it, because one of the most famous musicians, R&B pop star, innovator, Beyonce's channeled her a couple of times in her music videos. I don't know how many of you saw the Grammy Award where she was pregnant, you know, with the crown and everything there. This particular picture on the screen, you know, and that's Osun. But what if I told you that the particular river being referenced with several religious, with several religious adherents, this is what the water looks like. Yes, that's the Osun River. That's the Osun River. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, where you have thousands of worshippers converge at its bank every year, looking for the fruit of the womb. The Osun goddess is known to be the goddess of fertility, as you can tell. Go look a lot of these things up. So how exactly do you tell this story to an audience? It's been established that radio has a huge following, especially with most developing countries in this part of the world. We do brilliant investigations, we put them on the papers, we draw the maps, we put them out there. But how do the people relate to the stories? The power of storytelling. How do you tell a story? How do you tell the people who are most affected by this situation to take action, to take ownership of the stories? Our investigations as investigative journalists, we pursue the stories, we do everything we need to do. At the end of the day, it boils down to the people taking ownership to demand accountability amongst a couple of other things. So how do you do that? I'm here to talk about that very, very, very quickly. All right, so how do you tell a story such as this? I'm just going to go on straight to it. I have the storytelling side. What is the storytelling? What is a story? A story is a simple account. Sometimes it is subjective of a series of events, real or fictitious. So how do you tell the story? I'm going to talk about the techniques, which in the case of broadcast media, I'll say that are the tools that you use to pass across this message and get people to work. Well, you break down the data. I conducted an investigation a couple of years ago, I called The Place Called Away, Where Does the Rubbish Go? And I wasn't the first to do that story, but you had people coming up with big words. It's a 5 kilometers of rubbish and everything. The people I was talking to, the locals, could not really understand that. And I had a spur of the moment inspiration, and I asked the man, I said, if you had to quantify this and describe it using a football field, what would it look like? And the man said, oh, that one's easy, 5 times the size of a football field. And that was the simple thing that got people to take action, because now they could process the data that had been given to them. Nobody wants 5 times the size of a football of rubbish in their backyards. It's easy, especially when it's been built right across an estate for people with special needs as well. And that got people to act. So you break down the data to the level the audiences can understand, visual representations, sources. Who are the sources? The authorities, people like them, people they can listen to. In the case of the gold mine, gold washes and land grab story, the very, very focal person there was the king himself, whose priest had been killed by the illegal land miners who attacked him on his farm. It was easy for people to gravitate and be like, if it could happen to the king, then it could happen to any one of us as well. And so there's a whole lot here. Central questions. I want to play you this very quickly, because I know my time's like, any time from now it's off. So I'm just going to play this right now.
He was shot with a gun and killed on his own farm. A murder caused by the struggle for gold.
Osun State has one of the best gold qualities in Nigeria. That is why the demand for Osun gold is so high.
It's the story of a gold rush by both legal and illegal miners in Ijesha land. The thing is, both the illegal and the legal miners work together. If we don't exist, they can't exist. A worrisome situation that has sparked up conversations in Nigeria's Hall of Chambers.
And the activities are caused untold hardship to the villagers who have been forcibly displaced and dispossessed of their lands by the miners.
But beyond the more common fears of environmental damage lies an urgent concern by residents of affected areas. A subtle land grab.
Alright, I'm just going to stop there because I don't have all of the time. But then again, I was pointing out how you need a central question, a call to action. If you listen to that, the trailer, whatever it is, the promoting that particular jingle, that particular documentary, you'd hear, what is this? What's the question? What is it? Look, we call radio the theater of the blind because most times it boils down to people having to use the power of their imagination. You and I know when we have to watch TV, you're probably giving it all of your attention, but nobody really listens to radio like, okay, I'm going to listen to this program today and listen. No, you're probably multitasking or doing 1,000,001 other things. And so the attention span is like really, you can lose them at any point in time. That's where storytelling comes in as a technique to have people, take action and responsibility. One of the things I did, one of the techniques I used was, and I encourage people, when you want the audience to take ownership, is flogging. In this particular case, I told the same story through different conversations. The gold rushes and the land grab, that's a conversation. Saving the Osun River, that's another conversation. The farmlands for gold, that's a totally different conversation. Everybody could relate. It's like a buffet. If this doesn't affect you, then this one affects you, and then it was easier. And the authorities knew that, look, this guy is not going away. It's not a one-off and then he disappears. All right, it's not a one-off and he disappears. So that said, there's a whole lot to storytelling, but the point again as investigative journalists is that we must try to break down this information. If the aim isn't, if it isn't done in a way where the people can take responsibility and ownership, then what exactly is the point of what we do? Thank you.